Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we are going to be making pizza for the beginner.
So if you've come across this channel and you're like, how the heck do I make pizza? Well, I think this is the right place for you.
So stay tuned, we're going to show you everything you need to know. Okay guys, so this is the essentials that you'll absolutely definitely need to make that pizza at home. So the first thing is a set of scales. Now the scales that we use on our channel are these quite straightforward, simple and cheap electronic scales. We need those to measure out all our ingredients, including the water. The next thing that we need is some pizza flour. You can use bread flour so long as it's got at least 12 grams in there of protein. That's the important thing you're looking for when you're buying some flour to make pizza. You might see in the supermarket there's some pasta flour. So long as it's got the right protein levels, we're good to go. Next off is some yeast. We use this Allinson's Easy Bake yeast. It's straightforward. Just make sure that it's in date, and that's in date. Today is March 2024, so we're well in date with that one. Just in case you're watching it on something like 2027 or something like that. Some ordinary table salt, again, straightforward, nothing fancy about that. So they are the basic ingredients. So now let's move to the equipment. I'm sure most households have got one of these. A fork, you need that for mixing. A nice deep mixing bowl. This is just a clear plastic one. We have clear plastic ones just to make it easier for you to watch our videos. Some cling film, shrink wrap. That's essential for covering up the pizza dough. If you're a bit more environmentally conscious, a shower cap. That will make sure that you can use this time and time again. And the last thing you need on the essentials is a baking tray, something to put the pizza in when we're cooking it in the oven. This one's just an ordinary roasting tin. As long as it's metal and you can pop some pizza on there and you can pop it in the oven, that's great. So those are the essentials. Now it's over to Oliver, who's going to tell you about some added extras if you're really keen to make your first pizza.
So this is a selection of optional extras you can add if you want to make your life a little bit easier for a little more money. This is some semola flour. Now, as opposed to your normal pizza flour, it is quite coarse, and what this does is it helps stop it sticking, so it'll help it stop sticking to a pizza peel or the container you're storing it in. These are what we prefer to use. These are little tubs you can pick up from Poundland for about £1 to £2 in a pack, and the 2 30-gram dough balls fit quite nicely in there. This is a nice non-stick pizza peel. You can pick it up for £10–20 from some shops. Just makes the experience of taking it in and out a bit easier. This is a dough scraper. Now, you can have some problems with the dough sticking. What this will do is, as it has a blade, it will help you just scrape it off the side. So it just stops it sticking, makes it easier. This is a pizza stone. You can pick one up for £30 to £40. What this does is it cooks the bottom a bit more evenly, as opposed to a baking tray, which may not yield the same result. Now let's make some pizza dough.
Okay, so now you've seen all the equipment and all the ingredients that you need. So we've got the absolute bare basic, and we've got those add-ons that Oliver's just gone through. So let's make some pizza dough. Now this recipe is a same day dough. It's going to take about 6 hours in total to make the dough and to get to the point of where we make pizza. So nice and simple, nice and quick, probably as quick as it can be. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to hand over to Oliver, who's going to take you through the first stage, which is starting to build that gluten up and get to the point where we need to knead it.
Right, so now we're going to weigh out our ingredients ready for the pizza. First, with the salt, you're going to want 25 grams of it. This is going to be our yeast. Now you're only going to need 3 grams of it. So next we're going to weigh out the water. Now we are going to weigh this out in grams. And you might find that a bit weird, but it is the most accurate way of doing it. So for this we're going to need 630 grams. Now that's the ingredients weighed. Now to our lukewarm water we're going to add our 3 grams of yeast. And with a fork, we're just going to mix that round. Now we're going to add in about 1/4 of a bag of our flour. And with a fork, just going to mix it round a bit. And you'll start to feel it thicken a bit. So now all the lumps in the first bit of the dough are done. So we're going to add another 1/4 of our bag of flour. Same process with the fork, mixing it round until there are no clumps left. We've removed all the clumps of flour. You can now add about half of what remains in the bag. And again, just mix that in. And then to scrape the edges, and generally just the same process again. So it definitely is now thick. Now this is ready to be kneaded, so I'm going to hand over to Matt.
Okay, thanks Oliver. So now we're at a position now with this pizza dough where it's getting really nice and thick. And it's probably getting a bit too thick now for mixing. You need some super strength arms to continue. So what we're going to be doing next is we're going to get this out of the bowl, and the easiest way to do that is we've saved some flour over in the bag. So we just pop the dough to one side and we're going to tip out about 1/4 of what's left onto the work surface. Okay, so we've got that there, and that's a nice bed that we're going to be able to tip the dough onto, and that just stops it sticking onto the work surface. So we're going to tip the dough on that we've got. Now, you're probably wondering, how do we get everything clean out of there? How do we get that dough out of there? Well, the easiest way to do that is the rest of the flour that we've got, the whole entirety of the bag, tip that in, like so. And then what we need to do is just put that flour all the way around the bowl, like that. And then just with a little bit of force, just rub the edges of the bowl. So as you can see, it's coming nice and clean. And tip. Don't worry about the flour that's left in, because we're going to need a floured mixing bowl to put this, when it's kneaded, back inside. So don't wash the bowl yet, because we'll need that floured. So we'll put that to one side. Now we need to knead and mix all this together. So if you don't like getting your hands doughy, you can use your dough scraper at this stage. I don't mind. It's quite straightforward, and your hands will become clean again with no dough. But what we need to do is just start to fold in the flour that we've got underneath and pushing it in. just incorporating all that flour into the mix. So stretch out and fold back round. And if you try and keep it nice and central. Okay, so we've nearly got all that flour that was there incorporated, and you can see the work surface is becoming cleaner. And as I said before, look, if you want to clean your hands off, just rub them together and the dough and all that stuff will come off your hands anyway. See from the work surface, now there's not much flour left in, but the dough is quite lumpy still. So what we'll need to do is we'll need to start to mix with our hands, kneading, and all these lumps will come out of the actual dough itself. So to knead, just use the palm of your hand and push forward. You can hold onto the dough if you want, but push it into the work surface. So like it feels like you're crushing the dough between your palm and the work surface, and roll it around. So roll and push, roll and push, roll and push. Speed that up. And you'll see there's no sticking to the work surface. But should it start to stick, we can use the dough scraper, or simply just leave the dough mix and cover it with the mixing bowl just for a little bit. And you'll find when you've gone back to it after about half an hour, there's no worries. But look, just after all that, it's becoming smoother already. Okay, so we've been kneading this for around about 10 minutes. And it's looking and feeling really, really smooth. So, what you should be looking for, and this is where the gluten and strength is, it feels like it feels and looks like it has a skin. If it gets to this stage, we need to form it into a tight ball, because what we're going to do is we're going to let it rest for around an hour. And one of the techniques you might have seen people using, it's quite straightforward. You know, it's not a case of doing it with flat hands like that and turning it. You need to slightly angle your hands and turn underneath and pull the dough slightly with the backs of your hand, with the palm of your hand in. So if you can see that with the camera, underneath and pull as if you're pulling the top. And doing that, you'll see that it goes really, really smooth on the top. And that's a good sign, because that's the strength and the gluten forming. When you have that, when it's that smooth up, there you go. When we have that at this stage, that means that our pizza dough will be quite really, really strong in a few hours time when we come to making and forming the pizza bases. So what we need to do now is we're going to use that floured mixing bowl, and we're going to cover this for 1 hour. Okay, so an hour has passed and you'll be able to see the dough's risen. So we'll take the lid off. There we go. And there, look, it's really, really nice and smooth. So you might need the dough scraper this bit, but we'll see if we can peel it off the work surface. It's a bit sticky, look. So we'll just use the dough scraper, just pinch that off a little bit. Okay, so what we need to do next is add in the salt. So we just need to fold that in. So just gradually sprinkle it in and rub it like that, and then we'll fold it in. give it a really good mix. And as you can see with the dough, it's not sticking at all. And it's taking the texture like the pizza dough should do. Now what the salt will do is, like Oliver mentioned earlier, that controls the yeast that's in here. So it'll stop it getting too lively as we let this dough rest again when we've mixed all the salt in. So that's all the salt in, and now we're just going to give it a bit of a knead for 5 minutes. Now you might notice that it gets wet at this point, and that's just the reaction that the salt's having with the dough itself. But as you can see, it's not sticking. We don't need any additional flour or anything. Now with your hands, you'll be able to tell when the salt's mixed in, because you'll be able to feel the grains of the salt at this moment in time. So once you go back to that smooth and you can't feel the grains, you know that the salt is mixed in sufficiently. Okay, so this dough is feeling a lot smoother. I can't feel any grains in the actual dough. If I knead my fingers inside it like that, I can't feel any grains of salt. Look. And you see now, look, the actual dough, we can make a big pizza, and it's that strength in that gluten that we're looking for. See how it's not tearing and falling away. We can make an absolutely massive giant pizza if we wanted to with this dough, and it's not tearing. Oh, and that's the strength that we're after, and that's why when we're looking at the pizza flour, we need at least 12% protein. As you can see, look, it's not tearing at all. So, and just a couple of taps, and this just stops it from being so sticky, and we start to develop a bit of a skin on the outside. And with the technique that we showed to make the pizza, to shape this big ball, yeah, tuck in and twist in around. You see how it's becoming smoother on the top. Look at that. That looks really fantastic. And that's now starting to get really nice and strong. A good gluten build up in the dough itself. So next what we need is this bowl back, and this time around we're just going to pop it in here. We've got the pizza dough in the bowl, and we can either cover it with Clingfilm shrink wrap, or we can use the shower cap. I'm going to use a shower cap on this occasion, but there's nothing stopping you using the Clingfilm. So we pop that over the top. That'll stop the dough from drying out, and then we're going to leave it 1 more hour. Okay, so this is at an hour now, and as you can see, it's risen twice as much as it was earlier. So the next stages that we've got to do is we're going to take this and we're going to create some pizza balls to make some Neapolitan pizza, and we're also going to put some in the tray that we showed you earlier to make a tray bake pizza. So let's have a look inside at the actual dough itself. So there you go. It's looking really nice, and let's have a look to see that again, that development. And look, it's getting really strong now, which is good. That's exactly what we need now for pizza, and we have to really stretch it to make it tear. So that is some fantastic dough that we've got there. So what Oliver's going to show you next is how to make the Neapolitan pizza dough balls.
Right, so when you're going to boil your pizza balls, so you're going to get a little bit of flour on your work surface. rub it around your hands, just helps it stop sticking. And first you're just gonna grab a rough dough ball, which most likely won't be on 230 grams, which is what you want to aim for. If it's a gram or so, but that's 230, 231. And once you've got that, roll it in the flour a bit, and you want to get your fingers and put it underneath the dough ball and just stretch it out like I'm showing here, so you get that nice smooth skin all the way around. And then once you've got a tight skin, you want to put that down on your work surface, and like you did with the big bowl, with the blades of your hands, just seal it off at the bottom. Now, if you decided to go for the pots, what you're going to want to do is just grab a little bit of flour, just make sure it's all nicely covered. This just helps when you're cooking, when you're getting ready to stretch it, you know. Just makes it easier to get out. You're also going to want to do the same for the lid. Just like that bit on the lid, stops it sticking to the top. On like that, and then just let that rest for a bit. Now, if you haven't decided to go for the tubs, what you can do is use a baking tray like this one, which has been lined with a bit of greaseproof paper. Once you've done that, you can just put it on your baking tray, remembering to leave enough space between dough balls. Once you've done that, just cover them in cling film. After you wrap them up, these now just need to rest another 2 hours.
Okay, so thanks Oliver for that. So now you've seen how to make dough balls for Neapolitan style pizza and 2 ways that you can store them. What we're going to do next is, if you don't fancy doing that style of pizza, we're going to do it using this tray and have a tray pizza. And I'm going to show you what you need to do with the pizza dough for that. So this is just a normal bog standard non-stick tray that we've got. So put the tray down. We don't need any flour or any oil or anything to go in there, just leave it as it is because it is non-stick. We don't need the scales at this stage. What we need to do is get enough pizza dough to cover this area, leaving about 1 centimetre or so gap. So what you can do is you can stretch it out a little bit with your hands before you put it into the actual tray itself. And because now we've got that strong gluten in there, it makes it a lot easier, and this dough is a bit more relaxed. Just gently, just manoeuvre it around and try and keep it as even as possible. The depth of the dough that you've got in there. Got it like that. As you can see, look round the edge, you've roughly got 1 centimetre gap, which is perfect. So that's nice and even all the way through, and then we're going to allow that to rest now. So we'll allow this to rest. I'm going to cover it in some cling film, and we're going to leave it like the others for another couple of hours.
We're gonna make the Neapolitan style pizza.
So working with your fingers from the inside and pushing out, you just need to make sure that you're leaving a crust, so don't go over the sides. And in a second we'll pick that up now and we'll do the steering wheel method. It's just a case of just making sure that you're leaving a nice gap there. So that looks fantastic, and the dough is so relaxed it's just falling away. Looks absolutely fantastic. So just before we put it back down on the work surface, we just need to clear off that semola flour. Just clear the work surface off because we don't want too much flour, because it'll add a bit of taste to the pizza. Need to put that down, bit of a reshape, and because we're using a very short
fermentation time, the dough is not as relaxed as it would be if you used it over a 24-hour period. So that's one of the drawbacks of using a 6-hour fermentation pizza dough recipe as we have done today. So there we go. Just a little bit of spring bike, but it's not too bad.
Now we're just gonna put on some tomato sauce. Making sure and just spreading it round. If you like it more saucy, you can put more on. Some Parmigiano. Don't have to use it, but it works well. And then put on some mozzarella, spreading it evenly around like that between, and put some pepperoni. Now with the oven on full temperature, 270 degrees, just gonna put that on and let that cook.
Okay, so here's a tray with the dough on that we've got. So what we're gonna do now is unwrap this. So as you can see, it's risen quite a bit, and it's nice. Look how relaxed that is now. In the Mutti tomato pizza sauce. Again, from Sainsbury's, this is just over £2. Really good stuff, highly recommend it, really great. So what we need to do first is we just need to go and put some tomato sauce just on the base and just smear around. You don't need a lot, it will spread really, really nicely. If you like your pizza a bit more saucy, of course you can be a bit more generous. But again, just making sure we're leaving a bit of a crust. So again, just leaving a bit of a centimetre gap. You don't have to use Parmigiano, I just find it works really, really nicely. I'm going to put some of this smoky cheddar on. This is really, really nice. I'll put this round the edge. Next up, we will put on some of the mozzarella. On some jalapenos and some sun-dried tomatoes. Put on some pepperoni. So next we need to put it in the conventional oven. This is a fan-assisted oven, 200 degrees, and we'll open that up and we'll pop that in. That's in now, we just need to let time take over. Should be around 20 to 30 minutes. So guys, if you've not got a pizza stone, this is another method that you can use to make Neapolitan style pizza. So we've got the dough ball that Oliver created, and it's still sat on the greaseproof paper. So what we need to do is we need to just take that dough ball, just make sure we pop in any air bubbles out of there, because obviously that'll just make burnt bits. So with your fingers, we just need to push from the centre like so, and pop that air bubble, and just push out like that, and then we can lift off the greaseproof, and then we can just slowly use that steering wheel method. And the way to use this is just to make sure you're just passing it through your thumb and forefinger, and the pizza base will slowly fall away, and that's because of all that gluten and proteins that were built up in the dough itself. And you can see how it's falling away there. That looks absolutely fantastic. Okay, so we'll pop that on to the greaseproof. Now it's not going to be exactly round, but it's going to be as round as you can get it. And again, we're going to go in with the multi-tomato sauce. We're going to use some Parmigiano here. You don't have to use Parmigiano if you don't want to. You can use whatever cheese you like. And with the mozzarella. A few jalapenos that we've got left over. Some pepperoni around the edge. So no need for a pizza peel on this one. Again, the oven is at 270 and we're just going to pop that in to the oven and then we'll leave it 5 minutes, and that oven is extremely hot. It's made my eyes water.
Now we're going to take it out of the oven.
Okay, so 20 minutes has passed. Let's have a look and see what we've got inside. Wow, smells amazing. Would you look at that? That looks terrific. Okay, so this is done now, so let's have a look what it looks like. Oh, that's really hot. That looks pretty spectacular. Look at that. Get that out of the way. Off the Greaseproof. It's going to be as cooked as it would be on a rock box. Wow, hot. Okay, this looks absolutely delicious. Let's tuck in. It's just amazing. That crust, considering this is a home oven, is absolutely fantastic. Let's just have a look underneath as well. Just look at that, and considering that's out of an home oven, you know, that looks absolutely fantastic, and that's just underneath. Well, oh my days, the flavour just from that bite of crust I've had is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I'd say it's not as good as a normal pizza oven, but the conventional oven, you know, with the stone, it works quite well.
And delicious. Compared to takeaway?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay, so let's have a taste test. I'm taking a corner piece. Get tucked in, Oliver.
I'm taking the other corner piece.
That's really, really nice.
When you bite in, it's really soft and it's almost like cakey.
Put it on the side. Considering that you can do these at home.
Yeah, considering you can do these at home without like a rock box or any professional equipment other than, you know, an oven.
And here's the inside. That looks absolutely fantastic. Look at that. Really, really light. So guys, that's about it from us. Please subscribe. It really, really does help us. Leave a comment. What did you think of this? This is just out of a normal oven. 6 hours. That's all it took us to prepare that dough and these pizzas. So really, really, please leave a comment. Let us know what you think and give it a try. And if you do give it a try, again, put something in the comments. Let us know how you got on. Because it really, really does help us, doesn't it? And we've got some more videos coming up very, very soon.
Yeah.
And all it means to say is thanks for watching and
bye.
So enthusiastic. Bye for now.